Hey everyone, welcome to Life After Work. My name's Solomon. This is going to be a different video today. I've got to admit to my subscribers and those of you who've tuned in before, this isn't going to be about building the ships, trains, and planes model shop or anything to do with what I normally do. This is, let's call it a big shout out. It's a shout out to a friend of mine. I like to call him a friend now. So I'll start back with that. A shout out to Dave Queener at the Cumberland Cumberland Model Engineering website. If you saw my scale modeling video, you know that I went over to his house, went through his shop. But what I didn't tell you in that video was what got me over there. I'm a member of a 1 to 20.3 Yahoo group, and I saw an email from him. I had never met him. I had seen him on the internet for 10 years. And it wasn't until then I realized he was in Knoxville. Well, he was offering some free magazines. Well, guess what? I kind of respond to free. I don't really respond to magazines, but he said they were model railroading magazines that went back to the 30s that belonged to a relative of his, and he was just giving them away. So I decided give it a shot, and I emailed him back. I wasn't the first one to email him, but he managed to pull together some 1930s and 40s magazines. Now let me show you. He gave these to me when I went over. This is one of 5 of these that I filled with those magazines. I've had a ball going through them. Now, I learned something. To all my British friends, you guys heavily into, well, you call it 00. I found out that we call it 00, alpha instead of numeric. We got to do it different, right? Everybody's got to be different. Everything's the same except 100, the other is 00. Well, I looked in a 1937 model railroader magazine, and 00 or 00 was very popular in America pre-World War II. I think HO took over after the war. But these guys were modeling. They couldn't run down to the hobby store. If they went down to the hobby store, I think they mainly got O gauge, which was Lionel, or HO. Anything else they wanted, they had to make. And these magazines have some wonderful how-tos. Well, I'm not going to get into all that. That's not what this video is about. This video is about one magazine that was in that stack. And it absolutely fit me like a glove. This is it. That's the one. It's called Bridges and Buildings for Model Railroads. Now, if you have been watching my videos, you know that what I want to do over here on my table is have a 12-foot long test stand. And I said, well, I'm going to, build a trestle, and I'll make my test stand a trestle. And it'll go all the way across and step down and all this stuff. There, it said Bridges and Buildings. Well, I went in here and I looked up trestles. They've got trestles with dimensions, lumber sizes, showing how to put a jig together, showing some examples of how to do the decks. And it's perfect because everything is in whole dimensions. And all I have to do is go into my tool that I have on that video. I've since updated that to be totally metric and decimal. I've got both. So anybody wants it, I'll send it to you. But at any rate, all I have to do is put these dimensions in for what they are, like guard timbers 9x9. I can put guard timbers 9x9 in there and it will convert it to decimal or metric. And like I said, I picked the easiest one to use. If it's really small and metrics, better numbers than supercalifragilistic numbers, I go with the metric. So that was great. But then they had another section. And after looking at my space, I decided I'm not sure a trestle will work. Well, they have wood truss bridges. And these wood truss bridges are much shorter. They've got drawings after drawings with dimensions, everything that I need. And I got to thinking these wood trestles might work better for me. And this, just to I'm making a test stand, but I want to make it interesting and fun, something I can learn from. Well, I can print these plans off. I can put all these numbers into my scale calculator, set it at F scale. It'll tell me what dimensions all the numbers should be, what the measurements should be for these structures. But then what will I do? Well, my plan, I have this. This was a Christmas gift several years back. I haven't used it much, but it is a Bluetooth scanning device. I can just lay it on a page, run it across the page, and it'll Bluetooth right into my computer. I can then go into an editing program and I can crop, I can expand, I can do all kinds of stuff to the drawings. I can print them out, measure them against my scale calculator, do a calculation on how much bigger or smaller it needs to be, and I can literally print out patterns to build these structures from. That kind of makes it cool. So I'm probably going to do that. This book, though, has much more than that. Like I said, it's got trestles, it's got wood truss bridges. It also has structures. In here, for instance, a bay window interlocking tower. It's got all the dimensions. And on top of that, it shows construction drawings, it shows patterns. I mean, literally all the dimensions in feet. So I can scale it out, and it goes down to details, including interior details like file drawers and things like that. They have an operating car dumper model for dumping coal into barges with all the details and how to put the motors together. Plus, it's got the barge, how to build the barge with all the dimensions. This snow sheds, water treatment, old-fashioned water treatment plant. I mean, it's got everything in here. This was my treasure out of all of those magazines. And believe me, going through those old 1930s and 40s magazines, they're treasures in themselves. This is wonderful. And here's the interesting thing. Of course, Calmback, one of our biggest publishers in America on this stuff, they didn't put a single date on this anywhere. I don't know. I've looked at it. I look at the photos. I read the words, and the writing styles tend to lead me back to my youth in anywhere from the early 50s to the early 60s. I think. I'm willing to bet on it. Matter of fact, because the book itself is $2.50. I can't get anything for $2.50, and most of it is advertisements, which again is kind of a giveaway. There's not one advertisement in here. The only advertisements on the back pages, and that's for Calmback magazines. You don't get that anymore. If you can get 2 pages out of 50, that are useful, and everything else then is advertising. You're lucky. So this was my treasure. It was given to me, and I'll try to remember to post his name and address down there. But he's F and FN3, but it's Dave Queener, and he is at Cumberland Model Engineering. And I'll put that down there. And Dave gave me these magazines. He had a relative who had collected them back in the day, but he didn't subscribe, according to Dave. He probably went down to the corner store when the new one came out. That's why there's a lot of missing copies, and there's some duplicate copies. I looked in the 30s and 40s group. I looked for my birth month. Nope, wasn't there. But I figured that they were working on my birth month the month before, and it probably came out the month after. So hey, it doesn't matter, does it? It was just something fun to do. But all I can say, shout out to Dave Queener at Cumberland Model Engineering. Thank you so much for these. They've made a big difference. This has helped me tremendously, along with some of the websites I've found and some of the people doing the bridge modeling. This has so many other kind of bridges. It literally lists all kinds of bridges, steel truss bridges of all kinds. And with instructions on how to build them. This is a treasure trove for a modeler. I love it. So thought I would just throw that in, and a big shout out to Dave and to the Cumberland Model Engineering website of his. I'll probably go ahead and post this and hopefully get back to work. I will say that the reason I haven't been working on the model shop here, I decided to go to the doctor this week and get winterized. You know how you winterize your car, you make sure the oils are changed, all that. Well, I had to get winterized, so I had a physical. They gave me pneumonia shots, flu shots, all kind of shots. I had several shots, had blood drawn, we did all that stuff, and man, I tell you what, for 2-3 days now, I have been out of it, hurting from head to toe and about half sick and feverish. So I'm now winterized. Bring it on. I'm ready for it. And today the temperature is not going to get over 60 degrees Fahrenheit. It's been raining and overcast and cloudy. We're going to have some more warm days, but we're definitely getting into the colder weather now. And I'm loving the model shop. The heat pump is a godsend. The temperature in here is constant. Wherever I set it, I put it on automatic. If it has to warm, it warms. If it has to cool, it cools. I'm loving the model shop. So I will get back to work. Probably tomorrow will be my first day back. But I wanted to put this out. I figured it was a great time to give a shout out to Dave and to Model Railroader. And just so you know, I mean, I bought a Model Railroader magazine a week before I saw the email saying I had a bunch of old ones to give away. So I have the latest one, and I've got all of these old ones. This one happens to be from 1940. Happened to be the box I picked up. I do have them in order. May 1937. They're small, pre-World War II. We went into the war years, and hey, you don't get ads and ads on where to buy locos. You get drawings on how to build them. That's model railroading. I love it. So anyway, those are the kind of things I will scan with the scanner. I will convert them to 1:20.32, print them out, mount them on something, and who knows, one of them will end up being my scratch build locomotive. I want to build one because I want to build one. So there you go. Thanks for tuning in to Life After Work again. And if you don't have a life after work, get one. They're out there. It may not be railroading. It may not be styrene models. It might be planting roses. It doesn't matter, but get a life after work. Love you all. Talk to you later. Bye.